It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State. It's a special conversation here, both on the radio and on our live stream with Eriebank. And we want to welcome back Katey Jones, again, the regional president of Erie. Good to see you, Katey. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Joel.
All right, let's go around the room here and introduce ourselves, both from Eriebank and from Build CDC. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Chrissy Anthony with Treasury Services at Eriebank. Excited to be here today.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Allison Hodas. I work in commercial lending at Eriebank, and I'm also on the board for Build.
And Laura, go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, I'm Laura Guncheon, the executive director of Build CDC.
Terrific here. All righty. Let's start with you, Laura, and talk about the theme today is talking about these really important community partnerships. And so what does Eriebank mean to your business as you see it? Yeah.
Sure. So as a nonprofit community development corporation, oftentimes we are the first stop for ideas in the community of folks that want to move the needle. And then I immediately turn to our friends at Eriebank and have a similar conversation about how we might fund that type of project. It's nice to have the ability to pick up the phone or send an email or send a text message to kick the tires on an idea.
Yeah. When you hear these requests or these conversations, Allison, what do you think is the immediate approach that the bank takes? It seems like it's one of respect and of encouragement right away, right?
Yeah, it's easy to kind of immediately dive into the weeds and try to figure out, logistics of what that transaction might look like. But I think what our team does a good job with is really listening to Laura and her team and their ideas and seeing the big picture and what this looks like for the community as a whole and not just a single deal for the bank.
Chrissy, weigh in on this as well, do you think, as far as the initial response when you get a request or there's an opportunity for the bank to get involved? Yeah.
I think that one thing that really is great is that we don't just strive to have, a transaction. We really want to have that relationship. So we know, the nonprofit. We understand all of that. So it's a lot easier when Laura reaches out to us. We already have a good understanding and we can, we have that relationship and that trust and we can go forward with whatever, she's looking to do.
Katey, I would imagine this is all about values and how Eriebank approaches doing business in Erie.
Well, sure it is. I think it's value for the community, value for the organization, and value for the bank. We've got to figure out what works for everybody, and I think we've been able to come to the table with ideas and work with the nonprofits and the other businesses in our community to find something that works for everybody and be creative about how we meet the needs of the community and that organization.
Talk about your approach to being accessible, as far as being a true partner, guiding someone. This is a really complex project that Laura's involved in at Build CDC.
It is, and it's all about building relationships with people, so we become trusted advisors to our clients, and we have a good understanding of what our clients are looking to do and what that impact is for them and for the community. And I think that's what it boils down to for us. Like these ladies said, it's not just a transaction for us, it's about the relationship and getting a full understanding of what the goal is for everybody involved.
All right, when you think about, your growth trajectory at Build CDC, talk about how the bank has been that partner.
Sure. So the bank was an early partner when Build CDC was just an idea and has grown to be at multiple levels across multiple projects. And I think Katey brings up a good point about the relationship. I may reach out with an idea about a specific type of product, whereas we can end the conversation and it's not that product at all. It's, have you thought about construction financing? Have you thought about a line of credit? Have you thought about different things that are offered at the bank that probably weren't the reason that I approached the conversation to begin with, but would be a better fit for the type of project at hand?
Allison, do you feel like it's an important thing to kind of be an educator as you're in this? Because, again, you guys are the subject matter experts, right, at Eriebank?
Yeah, and honestly, that's what makes it fun. We get to sit down and figure it out together. Like Katey said, what works for us, what works for the organization. That's the right path forward.
Understanding things like the cash flow, especially when you're talking about nonprofits, it sometimes that delta doesn't work as well as maybe in a for-profit scenario. We want to talk about that, Chrissy?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we don't have a cookie cutter approach either. We're not going to look at, oh, this is the product that you need, or this is, we're going to really delve in and based again on the relationship and our understanding, we really, tailor our recommendations and try to be that financial advisor.
Yeah.
And I think the part about the advisor is well taken in that every time we have a conversation, what we put forward the next time is better and stronger. Once you go through the underwriting process the first time, you understand then what the underwriting process is going to be like the next time. And you come back to the table with documentation and numbers that are stronger because of that conversation that you had on the front side.
I was going to say, would you feel like you have better numbers, you're having better reports because of what you learned from your partnership with the bank?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that our applications for other funding sources are now stronger because of the conversations that we've had. I mean, we have pro formas not only for, annual cash flows, but 5 years out, 10 years out, 20 years out. We're talking about rent escalators. We're talking about utility volatility escalators. We're talking about all those things because we know we have to have those in order to get through underwriting.
Yeah, Katey, weigh in on this because I feel like, you deal with, especially with somebody like Build CDC, where they have a funding stream, let's say, from the community foundation. They have a funding stream from the state. Of course, you're providing conventional financing and so on. I mean, that's that capital stack is a lot to deal with, and so talk about how the bank works with that and kind of sorts it out for the client.
I think it's a matter, like you said earlier, of education. Sometimes it's education for us too, working through some of these deals and scenarios, but it's bringing all those partners to the table and thinking through that as a group. Sometimes these are, as Chrissy said, it's not cookie cutter. These are complex transactions that take everybody coming to the table, and I think the relationships that we have with those different partners really makes a difference. We're trying to educate ourselves. We're trying to educate the client. We're trying to, make sure that we understand the various, pieces of that capital stack. So it's complex, but we've got so many great resources within our organization that have likely had some kind of experience with that, whether it's one of us sitting here or it's somebody else. We've got the team that can help, navigate through those situations. Allison,
weigh in on this. Maybe I don't have a 10-figure deal that I'm working out. Maybe my deal is 5 figures, and I'm a small business person that is either looking for a line of credit or or is looking for some startup capital or something like that. Talk about that approach, and what are some pro tips would you give to maybe that small entrepreneur?
Some pro tips. We've kind of touched on it a little bit, is just kind of be open to, what Laura said. You come into a conversation and you might have an idea in the back of your mind of what you think that transaction might look like, but be open to hearing other suggestions, because our team, we deal in all different sizes.
Sure.
Like you said, 10 figures, 5 figures, nonprofit, for-profit, kind of across the spectrum. So we've seen it if you come to us, chances are we've seen something similar. So be open and trust that we do have your best interests at heart.
Yeah. Laura, talk about, again, the name of the bank is Eriebank. It's a local presence. Talk about how important that was to your board and your staff there.
Sure. If you think about the mission of Build CDC, it's community development, right? In and among the people, for the people. So it was a no-brainer to have a bank as a partner that felt about the community the same way. I mean, they have dollars that they could reinvest other places, but choose to invest them in the community because they care about the well-being of the community. They're also a tax credit partner. Not a lot of organizations of their size participate in the state neighborhood assistant tax credit program, and they invest heavily in that program, which we very much appreciate, and so do their other partners across the board. So it's nice to have a hometown bank. It's nice to have a bank that cares about the community and takes their dollars and puts them back in the community for the betterment of the community.
Would you say that is basically equivalent to like a deep investment in your success?
Oh, absolutely. I would agree.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this project. We've been kind of nibbling around the edges. Let's talk about the schoolhouse and what it is and how Eriebank has made it, helping it go over to fruition here?
Sure. So the Schoolhouse Apartments at Washington Square is a $13.5 million project for 25 units of permanent supportive housing for the chronically unhoused in the greater Erie community. It's located at the old City of Erie School District Administrative Building at 21st and Sass, where we will retrofit that old school, the Washington School, that's where Washington Square came from, into 25 units, like I said, of permanent supportive housing, which is a different model than a transitional housing or a shelter model. Permanent supportive housing is a unit for that person for as long as they need it, and it comes with wraparound services. So on site, we have partners with Safe Harbor Behavioral Health, as well as regional health services for primary care that are dedicated to the residents of Schoolhouse Apartments. Also, it's a one of the points of the Triangle of Hope, which we've talked about on this show before, which is the collaboration with Mercy Center for Women at the old Sacred Heart School and the Mazzini Charitable Foundation at the St. Paul's Neighborhood Center. So our on-site services will also be available to those that live at Sacred Heart and those that are provided service at St. Paul's as well. It is a massive undertaking. If you think about the capital stack necessary just to get the construction off the ground in the physical space, that can be pretty daunting. After you build it, you have to staff it and you have to run it, which is also really daunting. And that's where the underwriting and the pro forma work has been super helpful. We've seen a number of iterations of like, okay, we think it costs this much to build it and then perhaps to run it, but we're not sure. So again, that's where I really value these folks where, we had the conversation around the table of like, we will absolutely help you get this off the ground. You have to think about how you're going to sustain it.
Yeah.
Not only on the operations side, but you think about, capital reserves, maintenance reserves, deferred maintenance, all of those things that cost money. So that, 5 years from now, if you have a rooftop unit that goes down, you're not like, oh my gosh, I don't have $20,000, to put into this building. So the project itself is a Housing First Erie project, which is a conglomeration of folks around the table that want to end homelessness. Which I don't think is out of the realm of possibility. Now, people say, 25 units is a drop in the bucket when we have, over 100 that are chronically unhoused, but it's a big start. And it's the first phase of Housing First Erie to tackle that issue. Next door to it, we also own the property closer to the Peach Street side, where the second phase is designed for 75 additional units in new construction. We're not there yet, but it is something that's on the horizon, and it's something that we keep at the forefront as well, because we know that the number of chronically unhoused continue to grow.
Katey Jones again from Eriebank. We're talking to Eriebank and Build CDC here on the show. When you heard that mission, when you heard that big idea, Eriebank was the first yes. Mm-hmm. Talk about what that is like. I mean, to say, what, we're gonna put our stake in the ground for this.
We like to put our money where our mouth is, and I think we're all very passionate about our community, and I think we live by that every day. I mean, the boards that we serve on and the things that we try to invest our own time in are things like this. And homelessness is a really big problem in the city, and we need to help people. And I think this is a way that we can do that. Like Laura said, there's tax credits, there's things like that, but we can also be part of the financing to help get these projects done. And so, as we've all kind of said, we're going to find a way to say yes. It may not be the exact way that we're approached about it, but we're going to figure it out and try to help the community and help these organizations that are doing all these great things in our neighborhoods.
Allison, you think that it puts the bank in the place of, we're more than a funder, we're part of this mission? Yeah,
we get to be a partner. When I first heard about this model of the housing first, I mean, it really kind of flips the script on the traditional, like, housing is this pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You have to do all of these things first, and then you have shelter. To do housing first, when I first heard that, I wanted to be a part of it. And so to have the opportunity to not only sit on the board, but to be able to help fund it is really cool.
Chrissy, let's talk about, passion. And again, in your opinion, what do you think Eriebank is most passionate about? As it's an organization, it's a bank, it's a funder, but it has passion.
It does. I started at the bank 14 years ago, and a big thing that we say is we're passionate about our coworkers, our community, and our customers. And I really feel like that is so true. We really do care about our community. It's amazing to be a part of this, and all the other nonprofits and boards that we sit on is something that really I think is a big part of our culture, and something that we live by every day. So yes, I agree that we are very passionate about helping our community.
And again, on the side of saying, hey, we have this trajectory and we have these partners. Talk about how that passion really fuels where you're going.
I think for me personally, it allows that thought partnership, which is really helpful. I call Allison, I email Allison, I email Chrissy or Katey to say, hey, we're considering this next wild and crazy thing. And I know that the answer is yes, we're along for the ride. But it's nice to have a thought partner to say, we're considering this. What do you think? What are of the potentials? Things are in various stages of project life cycle all the time. We have things that are just at concept right now that it's really helpful to have a financial partner at the table to say, you're crazy, don't even consider doing that. I mean, they haven't said that, but I know that they would if it was something that was beyond the ability. But again, find a way to say yes. We very, very much appreciate that.
Katey, I want to make sure that we cover all the bases of what Eriebank has to offer to the small business owner, to the nonprofits, and maybe to the medium and larger organizations that say, I just need a hometown banker to be a partner with me.
And that's who we are. I mean, like Laura said, she can call any one of us. And I think that's a differentiator for Eriebank. We know our customers know us. They know how to get a hold of any of our team members. And if one of us is out, they know who else they can get in touch with, or we'll tell them, hey, Chrissy's in the office right now. I'm out on the road, but they can help you. I think that makes a big difference when you know exactly who you can call. And we have, really long-term employees. All of us. Allison's been here the longest. You've been here, what, 19?
It'll be 19.
20?
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been here almost 18 or 17 years, excuse me. Chrissy's been here 14. We have long-term employees that are really passionate about growing our community, growing the bank, doing the right thing for everybody involved. And I think that the people at Eriebank really make all the difference.
Well, and I think, having those physical presence, you have the branches where they're very accessible as well. Some pro tips here. What's the best way to approach? Do we need to go to the small business center, or is the first stop to just come to you and say, okay, here's the idea, here's the need? Just
call us, stop in, and we're happy to kind of figure out where the best place to go from there is. We've got a lot of experts that can help in whatever phase of those ideas people are in.
Final thoughts, Laura. Give us an update on timeline here. We're literally talking about a year in 3 or 4 months that this situation will be up and running, right? Yeah,
we are.
So
we just heard a couple of weeks ago that we were granted $5.5 million from the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency through their Home ARP program, which will round out the $2.3 million from the city, which was the linchpin of the capital stack. We are comfortable now with the funding that we have in place to get started. So that closing process is about 6 months. So we hope to start construction in January. It's about a 9 to 10 month construction window. Our goal is to have folks in those units by winter of next year.
We're going to have some excited folks at the ribbon cutting, I'm sure.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Well, I think I'm amazed and so pleased that y'all came to tell this story, because these are these stories that give hope to that individual, to that person that believes in Erie, but sometimes, the news gets bleak or whatever, or, their life situation gets a little trying. But these kinds of stories of that these kinds of projects are happening, and all of the things that we're seeing on Parade Street where you have your branch and throughout the community, it's really remarkable. Any last thoughts?
It's a great time to be in Erie.
I like that. Thank you so much. Katey, Chrissy, Allison, and Laura, thank you so much. Appreciate you being by here. It is Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, 6 minutes in front of 4 o'clock.